My name is Abe Silverman. I grew up in Brooklyn, and the first things I heard about war and people going off to war was in 1937.
Most American Jews did not experience the war. Jews lived a comfortable, segregated life in America, and later as the war proceeded, Jews became more involved in everyday American life.
But every time they called me up, I gave them my name, Abraham Silverman. I said, they just pushed me aside.
Why would they push you aside?
Well, I think there was a little anti-Semitism there, So I decided to go down to Baltimore, and I worked in the Baltimore Ship Repair Company all of 1942, welding gun turrets on merchant ships. An order came out that all the merchant ships had to have their own guns, so if a submarine came up and fired at them, they could fire back at them. I worked at the swing shift from 7 in the evening to 7 in the morning, 6 days. So in January of 1943, I was drafted into the Army.
This time there was no anti-Semitism, right?
What?
In this time when you were drafted, they weren't.
No.
Right. Now they needed everyone they could take, right?
They had to get 16 million guys.
Right.
The only prejudice at that time was they didn't draft blacks into the fighting forces. Blacks were drafted in. That was one of the tragedies of our country. We say that we're talking about the triumphs. They drafted the blacks, but they were cooks, and they worked where they supplied uniforms and stuff like that. But they never, very few of them. I just remembered just one squadron of blacks in Italy. Very few of them were in any combative units, and they were segregated. You lived in a barracks with all white people, no blacks.
To what extent did you consider that a tragedy?
Well, I thought it was a big tragedy singling out people because of their color and demeaning them. And this is what I call American terrorism, and it has existed for over 200 years. Suddenly you get half the... This was my outfit, the 460th Bomb Group. And this is a little cartoon which shows the Black Panthers at home.
The war came and uprooted Jews from their established routines, comfortable neighborhoods, and mundane affairs. Although initially the war did not seem to change their lives, they later were among the most involved in liberating concentration camps. Anti-Semitism before and after provided for many Americans not to join the army. The blend of American weapons and Jewish worship, steel helmets as yarmulkes, kindled powerful imagery and confirmed the dual sense of belonging.
When I came back after the war, a lot of the things about my Jewish education and my Jewish upbringing was cast aside. I didn't eat kosher food. I didn't put my tefillin on anymore. After, before I left for the war, I used to put my tefillin on. I didn't put my tefillin on until about 40 years after the war, 19 83. Later than that. Happening with, and Sholem Lipska was sitting next to me, and he said to me, "Are you rapping?" I said, "What are you talking about?" He says, "You know, putting your tefillin on." I said, "I haven't put my tefillin on in 40 years." But that day, I put my tefillin on, and I haven't missed one day since then.
American soldiers? Why do you think your religious values maybe were deteriorated after the war? Was it the death you saw in the concentration camps?
No, it was
Did you feel God wasn't with the Jews at that time?
No, I always felt that somebody was with me, watching over me.
Nobody's saying that if we find something,
It was my own thing. I just.
Although Silverman was not as affected by the war as much as his peers who became ardently Jewish, eventually his Jewishness kicked in.
One of the greatest outcome of war, without any question of anything coming close to it, is the creation of Israel as a state, as a Jewish state, which it has always been for almost 4,000 years. And, of course, the byproduct of that, which is the saving of 6 million Jews in the United States, of creating a safe haven in the United States for 6 other million Jews which wouldn't be alive today if they didn't have this country. I tell you. Story of my life.